Hi, welcome to everybody. Some time back, I introduced you to some of my uncommon experiences, some glimpses into the astral world that I happened to get by chance. I conveyed these things through audio records, some more than 16 bits of records. Now, with one more thing has sprung up in my memory now, and I want to convey that to all of you. And before that, I would like to refresh your memory by a summary of the previous episodes, incidents. In summary, one is the wheel of time, turning the wheel backward and forward to solve the problem of some missing object in a particular point of time. Looking at a betel leaf smeared with some special thing called ink, and also looking at a flame of a lamp. One was a snake bite cure, very uncommon. Summoning up the snake that bit the person and making it take back its venom. Exorcists. My experiences. Schooling at some exorcists' places. What they achieve. A dead grandmother insisted on getting some help from his grandson who is now living. A Central Travancore incident and Ramakrishna Mission Swami. The requirement of bygones with the living relatives. The requirements that the living relatives have to fulfill. The various demands, necessities, requirements of bygones from the living successors. Another was a story that appeared in the columns of the supremely popular news magazine Weekly, edited by R.K. Karanjia, a well-known editor throughout India. The story of a diplomat returning from Kathmandu, Nepal, to inside India to his village. On the way, he was crossing through a village, a mountainous area, where a whole village people some time back died of starvation. And there goes still hovering over there, clamoring for food. Another was the episode of demand for clothes directed to me, very painful to me. It still pains me. One demand not being identified, being unable to identify the person who demanded. I could not fulfill that demand. That stings me. And another demand that I fulfilled, that too pains me. Because they are in need. The thought of that pains really. Another very big thing was the familiarization of Collectorate Swami. He was able to solve the problems related to astral bodies. Not even visiting the spot, seeing the person suffering. He's even sitting far, far away at his own place. He could bring these astral bodies under his command and make them obey him. And I mentioned to you about his visit to my house on an Onam day for a feast. And my dead brother accompanied him soon after. You can go back and have a look at the real story. And he offered me to show me the horrible, pitiable lives of astral bodies if I go with him to the seashore on a horrible midnight, which offer I did not utilize. His story proves that people who have the capability, which way it is acquired, I don't know, through mantras, tantras, so many things, they can see the astral world, control the astral beings, bring them under command, so many things. They have extra sensory perceptions and what not. And we cannot brush aside the existence of astral world as mere nonsense, as the so-called rationalists say. Under the title The Magician, in addition to Collectorate Swami, I introduce you to the life experiences, some of them, of Somerset Maugham and his experiences in the forests, jungles of Kerala, and the story he mentioned in his book magician about summoning up a murdered girl. And in another episode, I mentioned to you the story of Justice Krishna Iyer. He was the Chief Justice of Kerala High Court, and after the death of his wife, very soon she started visiting him. He reported that to the press also several times, and she continued to visit him, exchange ideas, some social visit, usually it was. And he died. He was living till recently, only 2-3 years ago he died, I think. In another audio strip, I mentioned to you about some of the methods of inquiry adopted in ancient India, and the mention of an interview with an astral being, a Gandharvan, in Brihadaranya Upanishad. By mantras and tantras and by developing extrasensory perceptions and supernatural powers, by hook or crook, by upasana, meditations, I don't know what not. People used to get some powers to get in contact with the astral world, and they used to elicit information. Yet another is the information. It is not anything doubtful, direct information that bygones meet after death, relatives, friends, do meet. And with this first-hand information, I locked horns with the Super Guru in Osho Center. I think I have explained that. Under the title Everest, I communicated with you the incident of my locking horns with Atmajnani, self-styled, Deepak Bhai Patel from Gujarat, and he said it is a full stop, no, not to consider my station where I reached as the end, to consider it as a comma and not a full stop. And my idea that when you reach the top of a peak, you definitely know it is the peak, not a ground station, the base camps. Under the title Horse Head, I presented before you the story, incident of Narayana Guru and Chattambi Swami meeting some astral figure with a head of a horse and the body of something like a man. Such figures you usually see sculptured in Indian temples. Under the title Ghost Horror, I described the story that was described to me by the one who has faced it. At Kannur, the northern end of Kerala, when I went to meet that president of Patanjali's operations in Kerala. And the past midnight experience on the road, his bike was stopped by a figure with red hot glowing eyes, and it's horror. And the next was Attukal Devi's parting message to me, saying it is puja time, I must go, and so on. If you have any grievance, come to the foot of that palmyra tree and tell me. Next was artist Sukumaran, his interaction with another Devi, goddess, with her temple some 40 kilometers away from his place. He asked for he was eager and presented his eagerness before Devi that he wants to know her history. And the history dropped in front of him after a few months by a vegetable vendor, printed in a leaflet. And lastly, it was the episode of the tribal exorcists story. He peeped into an old temple and said, there is no one sitting here. So he can find out the existence or absence of the power there, the presence or absence.